Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm so sorry I'm late. The reason why I was late is because of this. This was a hell of a lot of ingredients to get ready. But I'm all sorted now. So earlier in the week when we shared the ingredients list, we did actually put on the onions and the garlic and the mushrooms. The meatballs need to be roughly chopped. So we'll do that moving forward because that just means that you guys are all prepared and ready, and I'm not going to whiz ahead of you basically. So if you are cooking along, do make sure that those onions, the garlic and the mushrooms that are going to go into the meatballs are roughly chopped. The onions that are going to go into the sauce need to be finely chopped, please. So if you haven't done that yet and you are cooking along, now you've got a chance just to do that while I have a look at the comments. Okay, so is everybody telling me off for being late? I hate being late. Really, 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 really hate it. But okay. Right, let's see who is here. Colleen, quick off the bat. That's your middle name now. Quick off the bat, Colleen. Paul is here. Jeff says, have a great show. I imagine that you are very busy at work with Bo. Send her my love, of course, and cheek tickles. Denise is here. She says, greetings, good morning, everyone. Patricia is here. I believe that you are cooking along. Do let me know if that's right. Paul says, a couple of minutes ago I was tuned in elsewhere. Were you okay? Louise is here. Lovely to see you. Hello. Christine says, good morning. I forgot to put the oven on. Lunch will be slightly delayed. Well, I'll probably just witter on for a bit, so you probably got a bit of time, love. Karen says, hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Denise is just so glad you're here. Doug is here. Doug, please do let us know what extraordinary things that you have been doing, running a gazillion miles or, whatever it is, because we love to hear about that. Paul says, I understand Dave's birthday is coming up soon. It is day after Valentine's Day. Lynn says, present. Oh, are you saying that you're here? Good. Okay, and Doug said, normally sabbing on Saturdays. Good for you. Good work, Doug. But volunteering at an animal hospice sanctuary at the moment. Oh, that's so lovely. That's really, really lovely. Okay, right. Hans says that there are meatball puns incoming. Please keep it clean, okay? If that's possible, please. You keep those meatball puns clean, and I won't swear today. Okay, how's that? Okay, so before we get going, we do have a rainbow to show you from this week. And here she is. Sorry, everything's being a bit slow today. Hey, there we go. There is the lovely Bo. So she is currently obsessed with Kizzy. Really, really obsessed with Kizzy, who is our eldest cat. I think that she's like the matriarch of the family. If you guys have any tips for how to deal with dogs that are absolutely obsessed with cats, then please do let us know, because we would like a little bit of help with that. Just while we've got that on, I'm just going to play around with one of the cameras that seems to have lost itself in the ether. So you guys are just going to have to stare at that just for a moment longer while I see if I can get all of the cameras sorted. Colleen says those ears. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. She does have phenomenal ears. They are her distinguishing feature. Right, I think that we're nearly there with the other camera. Sorry guys, I'll just be a sec. Right, let's see if that's worked. Yay! We've got our overhead shot, which is great. Sorry, I just lost it for a second. There we go. Oh, we've got Annie is in the house. Good, good, good. Okay, so Kansas shoes coming along strong. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So now we've got all of our cameras sorted. Christine said, I had a cupboard sort out, found dried fava beans, but can't remember why I bought them. Any ideas, people? Yes. Oh gosh, I mean, fava beans are great putting into stews, anything like that. I like one pot dishes as well, for this time of year are great. I mean, of course you have to, you know, do the soaking and stuff like that, but yeah, fava beans with any type of stew, like with cavallonero and sage and rosemary, is really lovely. I love dishes like that. But you guys give Christine your suggestions as well. Okay, let's get cooking today because this is quite a long recipe, really. Right, I've got my my trusty frying pan on the hob, so we're going to heat it up, get it nice and hot before we actually add anything. And when I put the onions into there, I want to hear them sizzle. Okay, because that just means that they're going to start frying. The oil is going to be on the outside, not soaking it up into the inside. So I'm going to put it onto medium heat, and then I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I'm not going to add too much. I always on the side of less, and then if I do need it, then I can add it, or you can add splashes of water. So that's something that I do quite a lot. Lynn said Trader Joe's having supply chain issues with meatless meatballs. So excited for today. Oh my gosh. See, vegan problems, and they're the problems that we love to have because you know what it means. Does that mean that like everybody's buying them or something like that? And Christine said, oh, mushroom and fava bean stew with cobbler top. That's a great idea. That's a really, really lovely idea. Okay. Colleen says, very frustrated, I cannot find gluten-free Marmite in the US. I even ordered from the British store, but that wasn't gluten-free either. Yes, so this is a bit of a confusing thing because we do say yeast bread, aka Marmite or Vegemite, because a lot of people don't know what yeast bread is. By the way, I'm just going to start and add my 200 grams of onions while I talk. But in the UK, because Marmite is so popular, we have other brands of it. So my favourite brand is Meridian. They're a very good, like healthy food brand. But you can also get Tesco's, Asda, Sainsbury's, and I think all of those are gluten-free. But that's just because Marmite is so popular over here, that we have all of those options. But if you can't get yeast bread, you can actually substitute it in this recipe with brown miso. So just make sure that it's gluten-free because some brown miso is made with barley. But you can get, there are lots of brown misos that you can get that don't have any gluten in them, that are made with rice. So that's your option. Okay, so whenever I put anything into a frying pan that's got a little bit of oil in there, because there isn't too much oil in there, I want to mix everything around so that the onions are covered in oil as much as possible. There we go, and I'm just trying to make them come apart a little bit because they're a bit stuck together. And you'll see that I have roughly chopped these, so they're in like quite big bits. And the reason why is because we're going to cook them, we're going to fry them, get the raw taste out of them, but then we're going to blend them. So they don't have to be very small, they just have to be small enough to be able to be cooked, if that makes sense. Oh, Colleen said that she tried to order from Papa Dodd's, but they don't ship to the US. That's rubbish. That's really rubbish. I wonder if there's like a kind of like US equivalent to Hodmedod's. You would think that there would be something like that because, you know, it's such a great concept. So I'm just giving these a little bit of a move around just to get them to come apart a bit really, but we don't want to mix them too much because we can stop them from cooking. You'll be glad to know that the battery is out of the smoke alarm today, so we're not going to get any rude interruptions. There we go, and now they're all kind of separated pretty much pretty much. I'll just let them do their thing for a moment. So I am going to get a little bit of water just in case I need it. There we go. And this is my preferred method for frying. As I said, to use a little bit of oil, and then if I need it, splashes of water. Because I'm not somebody who omits oil in my diet at all, because I think that, well, I mean, first of all, like for health reasons, I don't have to, you know, I don't have any health concerns like that. But also, you know, I like that in cooking, when you're frying stuff like this, it gets stuff up to a high temperature quickly so it can sear and caramelise food well. And I love those caramelly tastes, and it gives it a lot of depth of flavour. But I don't want to add too much because I don't like that oily feeling, that, you know, the taste and the texture of having too much oil in your food. So I will just add little bits of water once I get to this point. If the pan dries out too much and you can see that it's starting to burn, basically. There we go, and I can see, I'm going to bring you guys to the overhead camera that we finally have working. There we go, so you can see. I'm just going to add just a little splash of water. So not too much. Not too much. And then that helps, kind of steams the onions as well at the same time. So now we can add our garlic. So I've got 20 grams of chopped garlic here, just roughly chopped again. You can see quite big pieces. And I've given you the gram measurement here as well. 200 grams of mushrooms. We'll pop these in as well. And we'll just give these a mix around, and we'll get all of this frying now all together. There we go. This shouldn't take too much longer, probably just another 5 minutes. So we just want these mushrooms to be cooked, some of them to be browned, not all of them will be browned. We can still add splashes of water if we need to, so I've got this on standby should I need it. So let me just come back to here and I'll see if you guys have any more questions. Doug said that I'd have to try these. My meatballs I normally bind with peanut butter. That sounds good. I like that addition, Doug. Interested to see how these hold together. I could imagine putting chilli in meatballs like that as well. That would go really, really well with the peanut butter. Okay, and Doug also said, can't believe how much your hair has grown. I know, look at that. Yeah, I haven't cut it this whole time. Like since we went into like first lockdown, I mean I cut a fringe myself, which didn't really go that well. So, but yeah, I mean I've saved quite a lot of money on hairdressers because, you know, like I used to have short hair, and for anybody who's got short hair out there, you know, I'd end up like having to have it cut every couple of months or something like that, which is crazy. And by the way, guys, doesn't count for you because your hairdressers are a lot cheaper than ours. So, okay, so you can see that this is cooking down fairly quickly. So we're already starting to get some brown bits on the mushrooms, but I'm just moving them around a fair bit to make sure that they all get a bit of a chance of getting to the bottom of the pan there. And you can hear they get a bit squeaky. They get really squeaky. I have no idea why they're so squeaky in this pan, but I hope that isn't too painful on your ears. Okay. And Doug also says that we need to catch up soon. Yes, we really, really do. We really, really do. It would be lovely to come and see you in Bognor with Bo. Okay, so let's come back over here because I think that these are about done. So we can go on to the next stage. But Cars, as he's counting the days to visit Chef Day in the UK, you should come over. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. And if you come during like April, May or June on a Saturday, you can come and visit the chef school because we're back. We're back. We're starting again in April, which is very, very, very exciting. Okay. So, Paul, can you remind me of the brand name of the heating hob you use? Yes, it's Tefal, T-E-F-A-L, and it's very good and very speedy. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this off now. I need to get my big mixing bowl. Here we go. Right. Okay. Here we go. So now we're just going to pop all of this into our mixing bowl. I've got quite a big bowl, really. Sorry, that's probably really noisy for you guys. Let me just pop this out the way somewhere. There we go. Okay, right. Now, let me just turn this off. There we go. Okay. Right, now we can go on to the next stage. So all of those veggies are nice and brown. They're fully cooked through. Do make sure that they are. You should be able to tell by the look of them, really. So the mushrooms will be browned, as I said. The onions will be kind of translucent. The garlic will be a little bit browned as well. And so now we need to use preferably a hand blender because it's the easiest thing, but you can use a food processor, you know, something like that if that's what you have. So now we're going to blend this into a paste, and just be careful because it is a little bit hot, so you don't want it to like splash up onto you. Okay, so Justine says, "Oh no, not again." I'm not entirely sure. Oh, was that because you forgot? Maybe it's because you forgot that we were here today. Oh, that's very sweet. Doug is offering Khan a place to stay when he's in the UK, which is cool. Very lovely. And Justine also says, "Wow, your hair's so long." Yeah. Okay, so you can see probably why I have a high-sided bowl, because we do just want to have like a bit of space so that this doesn't splash out and onto the sides. And I'm moving the blender around and just like scooping up those bits of vegetables. Make sure it's pretty smooth. Like, we don't want any chunks in there, because when you're making something like meatballs, if there are big chunks in there, then it's going to mean that they're not going to hold together as well. Right, there we go. Let's just get that bit out. Okay, so this is basically going to form the base for the meatball. So this is going to have like a lot of flavour, but we need to add a bit more flavour to it, because when we add the ingredients that are going to thicken it, well, they don't really have much flavour of their own. They're what I call blank ingredients. So we need to increase the flavour in this. So we have 2 teaspoons of yeast spread again, but as I said, you can use brown miso if that's all you can find. And of course, this is a very, very salty ingredient. It's got lots of umami in it as well, and it makes things taste meaty, basically, which is why we are using it in this recipe. Now, depending on the yeast spread you have, it might be more or less salty. There are some that are saltier than others. You just don't really know. So you've got to kind of like judge that yourself, and you can add some salt if you want to. And then in here I've got 4 teaspoons of stock powder, so we'll pop that in as well. And I'm just going to add a bit of salt to mine. And now we're going to mix it. So mix it now before we add the dry ingredients, because it's really, really easy to mix all this in at the moment, because we want to make sure that all of that flavour is dispersed all through this lovely mushroomy, oniony mixture. And by the way, this is something that I've fed to people who hate mushrooms, and they like this. So don't worry if somebody says that they don't like mushrooms. If they're allergic to them, fine, don't give them to them. But you know, it's a good test actually, because a lot of people who hate mushrooms have had these and said they can't actually taste the mushroom, which is great. Okay, I just said vegan chef meetup. Yes, that would be amazing. And I think you guys are just chatting. Yeah. Right, you got no questions for me. That's fine. That's all good. Okay. Now I've got 70 grams of porridge oats. So these are the fine oats. Okay. So not the steel cut ones that are better for things like flapjacks. These are the very kind of delicate, almost powdery oats. They're the ones that we need. 70 grams of those into there, and then 70 grams of gram flour. So you guys can use regular plain flour if you're not gluten-free, that's absolutely fine. And now we're going to give this a mix, and don't worry about the lumps of the flour, because once it gets to a certain thickness, by you mixing it, you'll be able to get the lumps out just by using the back of the spoon. There we go. Okay, and now, so this is what you end up with. Okay, so it's still quite a wet mixture, and we can leave it to rest for 5-10 minutes, and then it will thicken up if you want to, and then that makes it easier to make into meatballs. But as we are on the clock today, I am going to get going with this, but I'm going to wet my hands. Let me just bring over my baking tray. There you go. Right, again, a nice wide baking tray. You guys know that I love my nice wide baking trays. Got to give it enough space. We're going to add a bit of oil to this, and then as I said, I'm going to wet my hands. So if anything is a bit sticky, you know, if you're working with like a dough or something like that, and it's quite sticky, or you know, it's a bit loose like this, it's really, really advisable for you to wet your hands. So similarly, you know, when you're making sushi as well, we need to wet our hands. So you know, they shouldn't be like dripping wet. So I would just put them under a tap, and then I've flicked my hands. Okay. And then I grab a bit, and I'm going to be really delicate with this because, you know, this hasn't thickened much yet, but I'm just doing this action and then popping it onto the baking tray. So they are a little bit flatter than they normally would be, just because I haven't left this to thicken. So once again, I just move them from hand to hand with a cupped hand. Okay, and then I'm going to try and place it a bit more gently. There we go, and it will be a bit more pert, which is what we want. Okay, and then we'll bake these in the oven for, it's only around like 15 minutes or something like that. It's not long at all. But we can flip them over during the cooking process so they get browned on both sides if we want to, but it's not absolutely necessary, so don't worry about doing that if you don't want to, because next we will be making the tomato sauce to go with this. Really, really simple tomato sauce, but you know, if you get caught up doing that and then you forget to turn them over, don't worry about it so much. Okay, so just having a look to see if you guys have any questions. Okay. Connie said mushrooms. Oh, you don't like mushrooms, babe. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you know, I reckon you could make this recipe with aubergine instead. I think that that would be a really, really good substitution. So somebody shared a link to something, and Paul has said he does not normally click on a link without an introductory explanation. I can understand that. Right, last remaining bit, and inevitably you end up with balls that are roughly the same size, apart from one. So I'm just trying to put this in where the oil is. Yeah, because we really do want it to go where the oil is. I just see this IKEA is doing plant protein meatballs. That's brilliant. That's really, really good. Really, really good. There we go. Right, I'm just going to move these around a bit. Okay, I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash, and then I'll be with you. Okay, now we can get these into the oven. It's on at 200 degrees Celsius, which is 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is gas mark 6. Okay, so they want to go in middle to top of the oven. Right, now on to our sauce. So there are these different parts to this recipe. But we're going to reuse our pan. I'm just going to scrape some of these bits off, and then we can reuse it. And also with the meatballs, what you could do is you could make them in advance and then just freeze them, because they freeze really, really, really well. Okay, right, let's get this on again. Okay, so a little bit of oil. Again, we'll just get it on medium heat. There we go. And then we have our finely chopped onions. So Connie says, I like the hamburgers. I couldn't taste the mushrooms. I'll give these a try. Okay, I tell you a secret, Colleen. This is pretty much like the burger recipe. I've just tweaked it slightly. I think the only thing that I've done is I've slightly increased the amount of mushrooms that are in it. But I don't think that you would be able to tell. One way to make it taste even less mushroomy is to use the white button mushrooms rather than the chestnut mushrooms that I use. Chestnut mushrooms tend to have more flavour, like the browner the mushroom, if you think of portobello, they have a lot of flavour. So just use the white button mushrooms instead, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to pop my onion into here. This is around 150 grams. Now I might need my water as well, particularly, as I didn't completely clean out the pan. So I've got, some lovely bits and pieces from the onions, the mushrooms and the garlic in the pan still. So it might need a bit of a deglaze. Heather Presley says, heart, meatballs. Yeah, exactly. And with this recipe, this is something that you can use for other recipes. So you could totally make sausages with them. But what you could do is you could make kofta meatballs. So I don't know if any of you guys have had kofta meatballs, but I really, really love Middle Eastern food, and kofta meatballs are lovely. So you could really very simply use this recipe as a base and then add the herbs and spices that you need for kofta. Right, so in this part of the recipe I'm not going to add any garlic, but you can decide to add garlic if you want to. Now let's get our tins of tomatoes at the ready here, and then we've just got some yeast extract again, and some stock, and a bit of salt as well. That's all that we're going to need for this. So it is really quite a simple recipe. I'm going to make sure that these onions don't burn, because I don't want any of the I don't want any crispy bits. I want this to be really, really soft. So I'm going to keep cooking the onions until they get nice and soft. but that can take, you know, 10 minutes. So by the time, I mean, the sauce is going to take probably about 20 minutes to cook. So by the time this is cooked, the meatballs will be ready, and then we can pop the meatballs into here. Okay, so Justine says, how do you find out how many calories when cooking your own food? That's a tricky thing. That is a tricky thing. So there are online services that you can use for that. But the ones that are the most accurate are the services that you pay for. So I know people who are like studying to be dietitians, and actually Doug might be able to help out with this. And they have access to, you know, these, you know, paid plans where you can work it out and it's exact. If you want it to be ballpark, then, you know, you can look at all of the individual ingredients, you know, and use Google, but I'm not sure that it's going to be that precise. So it really depends on like how precise you want it to be. Okay, Colleen says, I had the IKEA frozen vegetables. They were pretty good. Good, that's fantastic. It's good that they have an option. Definitely. But I think it's with it, like, what type of sauce is it with? It's more like a pinky sauce, isn't it? Something like that. Khan says, can we use walnut oil instead of sunflower oil? Yeah, I don't see why not. It's just that the flavour would be slightly different. And in the UK, it's easier to get hold of sunflower oil, and it's like the cheapest option, really. And we know that it doesn't have palm oil in it, because if we use vegetable oil in the UK, it is possible that it might have palm oil in it. But no, I think walnut oil would be lovely. I really like walnut oil personally. Justine says they have, IKEA have 2 vegan ones, veggie and pea protein, and 1 meat, and the ones that aren't meat seem to sell better. I bet they do. Well, yeah, Colleen says walnut oil has a very strong flavour. I only use it for salad. I really like making mayonnaise with it. Walnut mayonnaise is so nice. Justine says that she's on a diet. Okay, well, in that case, I think you should definitely talk to Doug. But to be honest, I'm not a big fan of calorie counting. By the way, I'm not a nutritionist. But for myself, you know, I have read up on nutrition. And of course, you know, I've developed the nutrition diploma course with a qualified nutritionist. But I think it's better for people to understand about all the different macronutrients. What is a healthy fat? What is not healthy fat? What is a good carb? You know, all of those types of things to help you to make better food choices. And the calorie thing, I mean, well, calories was a measurement that we used when we didn't really know much about food. And now I'm probably going to explain this slightly incorrectly, but bear with me. A calorie is basically when a molecule of something is put into water, that it raises the temperature of it, so how much energy it has in it. So calories aren't necessarily a bad thing, because calories are also energy. So if you have like a really low calorie diet, well, you know, there's not much energy going into your body. So I think, you know, it might be useful for you to look at macronutrients, what are healthy sources of fats, because fats are really great for us as long as like we're eating the right ones. So yeah, I found like understanding food in that way helped me enormously to be able to like make the right decisions, because as you guys know, even though something might say that it's healthy, and there's a lot of food on the market now that says that it's healthy, not necessarily healthy. Because in the UK, the word healthy, there's no law that says your food has to be this, this and this in order for you to put healthy on the packet, which is just a bit crazy. But there we go. Okay, so so Colleen says I was doing WFPB, whole foods plant-based, SOS free for about 2 months. I lost about 12 pounds. Wow. So SOS free, you have to tell me as sugar, oil salt free. Is that right? Okay, so these are getting nice and brown now and really softening up. So in a moment I can put the tomatoes in. I just want to do them for a little bit longer. Just add splashes of water in again and get them to just be a bit softer in the sauce. But this is like personal preference. Just uses MyFitnessPal calculates the food calories versus my walking. Okay, you really need to speak to Doug, because this whole like calories in, calories out thing, there's a few issues with it. So yeah, have a chat with him. I'm sure that he would be more than happy to speak with you. Khan was asking about canola oil. Yeah, canola oil is basically, you know, it's a very neutral oil. So any neutral oil for this, or you can use olive oil as well, of course, you know, because it would go with the flavours of this recipe. I'm just going to check on the meatballs. Let's bring you to the overhead camera so that you can see these. And I'm going to use a good, sorry, there you are, a good spatula so that I can do that. Okay, and we need a really good spatula to be able to lift them properly up and not leave any on the pan. So these thin spatulas are great. They're better than the plastic ones because I find the plastic ones too, they're too thick. There we go. And now I can just put them back into the oven. Okay, right, there we are. Okay. Paul says, I also understand the following Tuesday, the 15th of February, will be Chef Dave's birthday. Yes, absolutely. 21. Unfortunately not. Right, I think we're about ready to add our tomatoes. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you are cooking along at home, I've actually already put my spaghetti on. So you guys might want to do that now. But with a sauce like this, you know, you can leave it bubbling whilst your spaghetti is cooking. Justine says that Joss forced her to. Okay. But I would say, Justine, this is like on a serious note, that when I started really being interested in nutrition, it took me about a couple of years of searching on the internet to actually understand nutrition and to find good information as well, because although the internet is great, it's not peer reviewed, so there can be a lot of rubbish information about nutrition out there. I would say find some really good resources. So for example, Dr. Gemma Newman, Plant Power Doctor, she's very active on Instagram. And then we've also got people like Dr. Gregor as well, with Nutrition Facts. And find those really good sources of information and then understand nutrition through them, not just from, you know, wherever on the internet. Okay, so my tomatoes aren't chopped, they're just whole. So I'm just going to pop them in here and I'm going to give them a squish, just to break them down. Go. Oh. There we go. This is a lot of fun, by the way. I think you can tell. Okay, so sorry, I think that I've missed a lot of comments. There we go. for it. I'll just give my hands a little wash. Okay, now we can give this a mix. Just make sure that the onions stop cooking, and then we can add a bit of salt, yeast extract. So we've got 1 teaspoon of yeast spread here, and that's just because I find the tomatoes quite sweet, so I just want to balance out that sweetness a bit. And then I've got 2 teaspoons of stock powder here, so I'll pop that into. There we go. And we'll give this a good mix, and then we'll just let it bubble away. And so whilst it's bubbling away, I will check your comments. There we go. So we just need it to reduce down, thicken, but for the tomatoes to not have their raw flavour anymore. So as we're making, a small amount of this, it won't take too long. I think probably just another 10 minutes and then we'll be good to go. But if you're making quite a big quantity of this sauce, it can take longer. So just bear that in mind if you are increasing the recipe. And similarly the other way, if you're halving this recipe, if it's just for you, then it will take less time. There we go. So you guys can totally add herbs to this if you want to. I would urge you to use the fresh herbs and not the dried for this recipe, but anything like basil, oregano, marjoram would be absolutely lovely in this dish. If it's winter, sage, rosemary, anything like that would be lovely. You can add some pepper to it as well if you would like to. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this down slightly just so that it doesn't spit on me. We do want it at a low simmer. Anything that has tomato in it or is tomato based tends to be a bit volcanic, and it will do like a big flop, and it might get you, and it's very, very hot. Okay, so let me have a look at all of the comments that I've missed. Okay, so Jessie said, oh, how's the wedding planning going? Well, we're still waiting for things to get kind of back to normal. I think back to normal yet now. I don't know what's going on. Jessie says, we're doing a live for your birthday, though I'm probably away because Dobby's birthday is the 13th. You're going away to celebrate Dobby's birthday. That is very adorable, by the way, to everybody who doesn't know. Dobby is Justine and Joss's very lovely dog. Okay. To be honest, I'm not really sure what I am doing for my birthday. I don't know if somebody has something planned for me. I haven't been told yet, so we'll have to see. And Paul said about the nutrition information that we can peer review your information. Well, I don't want to take responsibility for that. Let's get Doug involved. He's the professional here. Okay. Colleen says, do you have forks over knives in the UK? In what way? I mean, we've got the books, we've got the documentary. Is there something else that we should have? Do they make food now? That would be amazing if they did. Patricia said, I will add to them the rocket pesto I made last night. With COVID at the moment, I have been cooking and freezing a lot lately. Yeah, me too. I actually think that we need a bigger freezer because I have a lot of like leftovers from the recipes that I developed and the videos that I do every week and these live shows as well. And I'm not going to waste food. No. Paul says, a good few tuned in. Yes, loads of people have been here today. Lots of regulars and some irregulars. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. Right, okay. And Paul said about forks over knives. What is that? Yes, I would like to know as well. I would like to know what exactly you're referring to. But that was one of the first documentaries that I watched about plant-based and the meat industry and that type of thing. I had been vegan for a long time, by that time, so they were kind of preaching to the converted, and some of it I had to watch through, you know, like that. But yeah, it's a great documentary, and their cookbook is very, very good. If any of you guys are into cookbooks, now Annie is a big fan. And the cookbooks though didn't have lots of photos in it, so you just have to be like okay with that. Maybe they're, you know, maybe if they've produced other cookbooks in recent years, maybe they have photos, but the recipes were really good and very, very reliable. Okay, so Carl says, Chef Dave, do excuse my terrible pun state. I really don't mind. I really don't mind. Go for it. Colleen says, FRK, there is an app to help meal planning. That's amazing. They have a quarterly magazine. They also have frozen food, but not in my area. That's amazing. Wow, it's really, really expanding. It's funny, isn't it, how like something can start with a documentary and then become something completely, you know, just something massive. Okay, right, I think that we're getting here with this. It's really bubbling away. So anything that has a lot of tomato in it, the temperature will really increase and increase and increase quite a lot over time. So what I find myself doing is starting it on one temperature to get it, you know, going, and then I'll probably reduce it, and then I might need to reduce it again just so that it doesn't like splatter everywhere, because it can get really, really messy. Okay, now let's see how our meatballs are doing. So let me make a bit of space for them. There we go. Whew. Okay. There we go, guys. Our lovely meatballs. So they've got a really nice colour on them now. Let me bring you over to, where is it? There you are. So you can see how lovely and browned they are. There we go. But what does tend to happen is they can be a bit of a dome shape. So when I serve them, I always make sure that I have the flat bit at the bottom, because then it just looks a bit nicer. So we do need to make sure that these are cooked all the way through, because they do have gram flour in them. And gram flour, when it's raw, when it's not cooked enough, doesn't taste very nice at all. I'm just going to take that bit out. There we go. Okay, so this is nearly ready. We'll just get our spaghetti in a moment. So Doug's popped up again. He says, just for information, all the best people were born in February. Does that mean that your birthday is in February as well, Doug? Okay, so Gareth says, crikey, I almost missed the party again. I think quite a few people are coming in late, getting used to this again. Lynn says, do I recall correctly that we can order written material on your website on nutrition when time allows the courses of interest? So we've got the course. Yes, we've got the course that you can join. And it's all online, but there are like PDFs and stuff like that you can actually like download and print off if you want to do that, with a lot of resources as well. Okay, so Doug, by the way, I don't know if you missed, but we did have a bit of a chat about where to get good sources of information about nutrition, particularly for Justine, so I think you should have a chat with her about that. Okay, so now I'm just going to check on my pasta. That should be ready now. This is one of those shows where I figure like I don't actually have a big enough kitchen to do this. Okay, so now we can just pop our meatballs into our sauce. There we go. Okay, I did manage to splash some over the sides. I just wanted to check that one of the cats wasn't there. Okay, and they weren't, by the way. They weren't. Okay, so Jocelyn says, looks yummy, feeling hungry. Good, 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 good. That's exactly what I want. So with the meatballs, I'm just turning them over gently in the sauce. They aren't that delicate though, you know. Don't worry about, you know, that they're going to fall apart, because they're not. They're definitely not. As long as you've cooked them for long enough. Okay, and now we can add our pasta. So I've got some spaghetti here, and in the guide, you know, I said like 200 to 300 grams of spaghetti, because really that's a bit of a choose your own adventure ingredient, because some people like more sauce than pasta. You know, that ratio is like completely up to you. So we're just gonna give this a little mix. And I am being gentle with this. This is actually gluten-free pasta that has already been cooked once. And as some of you will know, it can be a bit more delicate than pasta that has gluten in it. There we go. So I'm just being quite gentle with mine. And voila! There we go. And that is it. So let me just turn this off. I'll get my plate. That was a little bit noisy, wasn't it? And pop a generous amount onto my plate. There we go, just making sure those meatballs are the right way up so they look nice and pert. That's what we want. Yum. And this is quite a lot of sauce to pasta, by the way, because that's how I like it. Okay, there we go. Right, and bring you guys to the overhead camera so you can get better view. Yum, 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 yum. So this makes about 2 to 3 portions, maybe, I would think. So, okay, let's come back here. And I know that I've missed some messages, including Doug saying that he was bringing in sheep to feed. Happy to advise if anyone wants to message me. Thank you. That is the best reason for not seeing what we were talking about. Okay. And let's just see if there are any more comments. Doug said beautiful food as always. Thank you. No worries. And Christine says, I can confirm that meatballs are not delicate. Mine stuck to the pan. I needed a lot of encouragement to shift them. Yes, it is really, really good to have one of these things. This I actually got from a charity shop because I find the new ones just aren't as good. I love charity shops that have kitchen-y stuff in. So now I'm going to give this a try. Grab some of the meatball. Grab a load of the spaghetti. Try not to burn my mouth. Oh, it's very good. Very, very good. Such delicious comfort food as well. And please don't be put off by the amount of ingredients that there are and steps that there are, because you totally can cut this down. If you want to, you can use a ready-made tomato sauce, you know, just to have less to do, you know, if you just want to try out the recipe. But yeah, you can absolutely make it in parts. So thank you for joining me today. Do let me know if you make the recipe. If you do make the recipe, please do take a photo of it. Share it either on Instagram and tag me. Our Instagram now is Vegan Chef Day Radley, not the Vegan Chef School. So please do bear that in mind. Or if you're part of our private community, then please do share a picture on there. Yeah, so thank you guys. Doug said maybe a Valentine's theme for next week. I'm not sure about that. We will be doing some Valentine's recipes in the week, but I don't think it will be a Valentine's recipe on the cook-along we're going to do. We're going to make a healthy pear crumble and date. Let me do that again. We're going to be making a pear, date and spices crumble next week. That's what we're going to be making. So it's going to be a super healthy one. No refined sugar at all. absolutely the type of thing that I like to eat, you know, and I absolutely adore pears. Okay, so thank you for tuning in, guys. Have a lovely week.